Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Gentech PC product showcase. Today's video will feature the MSI GS60. The MSI GS60 has recently received an upgrade to the architecture, just like the GT70, its larger 17-inch brother. So both of these popular MSI products are now holding the Intel Skylake architecture. Along with new CPUs, there's a few other upgrades that come along with that, and we'll cover those in more detail as we get deeper into the review. For now, we'll go ahead and start things off with the unboxing so you can see what the laptop looks like for the first time and show you what type of accessories to expect inside of your box. The GS60 does ship with the standard double box, which is going to keep it safer during shipping. The outside box is not quite as appealing, and it kind of keeps it low profile while shipping and helps protect the inner box so that when you receive it, it's in pristine condition. We do have some cushioning to help keep it from getting banged around or squashed, but inside of our interior box we also have further protection. Now with the interior box opened, we can see the laptop is front and center right at the top of the box. On the left side compartment, that's going to be holding the power charger's adapter cable that will fit the plug for your region where you order the laptop from. And then we'll go ahead and take the laptop out and just set that aside here shortly. We have a few different coverings. We have the plastic on top of it as well as the covering that was on top of the plastic to keep it nice and pristine during shipping. You can see it does have a glossy finish and it's very thin, easy to pick up. Definitely a good portable gaming laptop. The center compartment underneath the laptop, that's going to hold the warranty information and product manuals. And our final compartment on the right hand side, this is actually going to house the laptop's power adapter. And here's a close-up of the power adapter specs so you can see the wattage. Now we're going to go ahead and throw the laptop on a scale so you can see how much it weighs. The laptop itself comes in at 4 pounds and 9 ounces. Once you throw the full kit on and you have the power adapter included, you're at almost exactly 6 pounds. The next thing to show you is going to be the height profile of the laptop. So we have a nickel here for scale and a tape measure going from the front and the back. Some laptops have a wedged shape where the back is much higher than the front, but the GS60 is pretty much at 3/4 of an inch on the front and the back. And we have one more quick test here. We're going to be checking the noise levels coming from the cooling system. Right now we do have the system at idle, so it's not under heavy load, and we're using the same setup we normally use, so you can compare this to the other laptops we have reviewed as far as how loud the system is. Now we can go ahead and start the tour of the GS60 and show you all the different interfaces and options as far as connectivity. We'll start things off with the front here. In the front right hand side we have our status LEDs, and of course in the background you see that very pretty keyboard. We have the RGB LED backlit keyboard from SteelSeries, very low profile keys, chiclet style, one very large touchpad in the front, and that has the embedded left and right clicks, the Dyne audio speaker system being labeled at the top with our power button in the center. These particular products have been featured now for several models on the GS and GT gaming laptops from MSI, and every single time they've been proving to do very well. And each time they release a new model, they tend to add to it or upgrade it in some way, either through software or actually upgrading the hardware. Now speaking of the hardware upgrades, there's actually a couple things we can show you on the outside of the laptop that come with the new Skylake architecture. So we'll start over here on the left hand side of the laptop. We can see we do have some ventilation for cooling, followed by the Kingston lock port. Then we have our charging port here. 2 USB 3.0 ports, and then we have two 3.5mm audio connections, gold plated, one for your microphone in and one for your headphones out. Now with another 90-degree turn, we get to the rear of the laptop. And unlike the GT70 being larger and a little bit more powerful, which actually was using the rear of the laptop, the very thin profile of the GS60 has nothing but ventilation on the back. As far as branding, we do have the G Gaming series from MSI logo and the nice brushed aluminum finish for the lid. Now as we make it around to the right hand side, we can show you one of these new connections. On the far left hand side, we have what MSI calls the Super port. This is the brand new USB 3.1 type connection. It's more or less equivalent to the Thunderbolt 3.0 specification, but it's not licensed under that name quite yet. After that, we have an SD card reader. Then we're going to have video outputs in the form of HDMI out and also a mini DisplayPort out. And then we have the RJ45 connection for our networking. Now with all four sides covered, we'll go ahead and close the lid down and spin it around one more time, just so you can see it from all the angles with the lid closed and get an idea of how it looks and how low profile the laptop is. With our external tour done, now it's time to move into the system and look at some of these hardware specs in the device manager. We have two hard drives, one being our mechanical drive for mass storage and one being a PCI Express SSD. Two graphics cards are integrated graphics for low power and the GTX 970 mobile for the high power. We have Killer for both wired and wireless networking, and we have the Intel Core i7 6700HQ for the CPU needs. For those who would like to do some research on the monitor panel, here is the model number on that, so you can Google it and see what you can find. Also, the specifications on that, it is a 60 Hz refresh rate on that panel. So now we have the system under load to show you some of those sound tests again. While we're running the benchmarks, you can see how much the sound levels have gone up compared to what we had earlier. A great place to compare these figures would actually be the GT70 review that we just did. Usually the larger laptops have an advantage with cooling because they have more space. However, does that mean it's actually a quieter system or not? So if you want to check out the GT70 review and compare the noise figures, that'd be a good place to start. And while we still have the benchmarks running, we'll go ahead and take the thermometer out and start taking some temperature readings. What we're looking for in this test is just to make sure that there's no out of the ordinary temperatures where you might be resting your hands in the palm area, where it would make you sweaty and uncomfortable, and see if there's any heat leaks anywhere. Sometimes the keyboard area is used as a ventilation source, so seeing some heat come out of the keyboard area is actually not a problem. Where you want to see the heat come out of the system the most is actually going to be the cooling system. So if you see high numbers there, high numbers are a good thing because that means the heat is coming out of the system instead of staying inside. So now as we pull those numbers off of the cooling system, you can see that we do get some pretty good high readings. One side being hotter than the other is actually not uncommon when the cooling system usually divides the CPU and the GPU to primarily one side or the other. Depending what kind of test you're running on the system, if it's a GPU demanding task or a CPU demanding task, you can see those temperatures change quite a bit. So now that the benchmarks have completely run course, you can see his score here. Firestrike came in at 6,574. If you want to pause the video for a quick second, you can take a look at the CPU-Z and GPU-Z information for the hardware used. When it comes to laptops, it's also very important to look at the temperatures, not just your performance scores. You can see that the CPU was in the lower 70s and the GPU was in the mid 70s as far as maximum temperatures. Those are actually really good temperatures for a high-end gaming laptop under a high-stress environment like Firestrike. And we also have the very popular 3D Mark 11 score here, performance of 9,212 that we were able to achieve with the current hardware specifications. Another performance benchmark you might be interested in is how fast is our disk access. This is using the PCI Express SSD, just a single one of them without a RAID configuration. You can see those are actually really good numbers. With our performance benchmarks done, we're going to go back into the computer to look at some of our software that we get included. The Dynamic here is where you control all of your audio settings. We have several different presets and lots of different features to tweak. Also, we have all of the stuff that controls the multicolored LED backlit keyboard. So you can take the time to go in there and customize it and make it look exactly the way you would like it to look on your laptop. Now for the speaker sound test, we'll go ahead and let the speakers do the talking for you on this part. And now time to get to our final segment of the review, which is going to be the minor disassembly of the unit. First of all, a word of caution to new laptop owners. To take the bottom casing off of your laptop, you do have to break the warranty sticker. So that means going in here to do any kind of stuff upgrades would technically violate your warranty. That said, here's how you open it up. We have several screws to remove, and they are of different lengths. So take the time and the caution to make sure you notate which ones went where, so that way you don't put them in the wrong order trying to put it back together. Once those are taken out, all you should do is lift the entire bottom panel off of the laptop. Up front, we'll see our large battery taking up the most of the space, so we can lift that up and out of the way if we would like to. We have the 2.5-inch mechanical hard drive located next to that, so that's covering most of our mass storage needs. And we do see one of the speakers right behind that. After removing several more screws, now we can get the battery out of the way and the hard drive out of the way. And now we can see what was located underneath. Flipping the motherboard all the way up and over, this is what exposes the system RAM and our M2 SSD slot. This also gives you a pretty good look at how the cooling pipe system is put together and how they cross-link so that you can cool both the CPU and the GPU with both of the fans. This is the best time to mention that there are only 2 slots for RAM on the GS60. However, being that it is DDR4, it can be 16 gigabytes per slot, so you can still get 32 gigabytes of RAM in total. And so now with the disassembly done at the GS60, that actually brings the review to a close. So we hope you enjoyed the video and you were able to get the information you were seeking out of this review. If you still have any other questions, however, then feel free to ask us here in the YouTube video comment section, and we can answer that question for you and everybody else. If you need some one-on-one help, then feel free to contact us by phone or email, and we'll always be happy to help you out. As far as full product specifications and the current pricing and availability, just check the description down below for the links to the product. And we just want to remind you that once again, this was Gentech PC, and we'll see you next time.